Common Gamer here. Gonna bring you a creepy Halloween story for my creepy Halloween videos I've been making. No Trespassing, a Texas scary story, retold by S.E. Scholar. Peggy and her boyfriend Tommy were driving down a lonely stretch of highway at dusk when a thunderstorm came crashing down on them. Tommy slowed the car down, and they crept their way past a formidable abandoned house. Plastered all over the fence and trees were no trespassing signs. A mile past the house, the car hydroplaned. Peggy screamed as the car slid off the road, plunging down into a gully. A mile past the house, the car slammed into a large boulder, throwing Peggy violently into the door before it came to a rest under a pecan tree. Her head banged against the window, and a stabbing pain shot through her shoulder and arm. Tommy turned to her. "Are you all right? You're bleeding." "Arm and shoulder feel bad," Peggy managed to gasp. Tommy glanced cautiously at her arm. "I think your arm is broken," he said, and he tore a strip of his shirt and plastered it to the cut on her hand. "I'm going to call for help," he said, when it became obvious that the bleeding was not going to stop right away. But neither of them had their cell phones. The house was just plastered with "Please have a phone I can use." Tommy said. Peggy's eyes popped up wide at the statement. Despite her pain, she remembered the creepy abandoned house. "Stay there, a car will come." "I can't stay, Peggy," Tommy said. It could It could take hours for another car to come, and you're losing too much blood." He tore another strip of his shirt and plastered it gently on the cut on her head. Then he went out and retrieved a couple of blankets from the trunk to cover her with. I'll be I'll be back as soon as I can." He raced out into the storm, shutting the distant car door behind him. Peggy drifted in a kind of daze. Something at the back of her mind was making her uneasy. She slid down onto the floor and put her head on the seat, completely covering herself with the blankets, head and all. Feeling safer, she allowed the whirliness caused by the rooms to take over and fell asleep. Peggy wasn't sure what woke her. Had a beam of light shone loosely through the blanket? Did she hear someone curse outside? She strained her eyes and ears, but heard nothing, save the soft thundering of the rain, and no light shone through the blanket now. If Tommy had arrived we with the rescue squad, then surely would be noise and light and many voices, but she heard nothing save the swish of the rain and the occasional thumping noise which she put down to the rubbing of the branches of the pecan tree in the wind. The sound should have been comforting, but it was not. Goosebumps crawled across her arms, even the broken ones, and she almost ceased breathing for some time as some deep part of her inner mind induced her to freeze and not make a sound. She did not know how long fear kept her in rows, but suddenly the raw terror ceased, replaced by cold shivers of appreciation and a sick coil in her stomach that nothing to do with her injuries. Something terrible had happened, she thought. Whirling fear did yet more fatigue to her already wounded body. Then she scouted herself for a ninny. It was just her sore head making imaging somewhat comforted by this. She dozed off again, only vaguely aware of a new sound that had not been there before, a soft thud, thud sound, as of someone gently tapping the roof. Thud, thud, pattering of the rain. Thud, thud silence, something she would almost waken and listen to, in a puzzling manner. Thud, thud, patter of the rain. Thud, thud, a branch dislodged from the tree. Peggy wasn't sure how long she'd been unconscious when she was awakened by a bright light blazing through the window of the car and the sound of a male voice exclaiming in horror. A door was wrenched open, and something crawled inside. She lifted her head and looked up at a young state policeman. "Miss, are you all right?" he asked, and then turned over his shoulder to call for help. Peggy told the officers her story and begged them to look for Tommy. This drifted, avoiding answering her, and indeed called the paramedics. As the paramedics carried her carefully up the slope of the incline, Peggy looked back at the car and saw a gruesome figure hanging from a branch of the pecan tree. For a moment her brain couldn't despair what she was seeing in the bright light of the police car parked at the side of the road. Then she heard a thud sound as the foot of the figure scraped the top of the totaled car, and she started screaming over in horror. One of the police officers hesitated to back her view, and a paramedic fumbled for some Valium to give her, as her mind finally restored what she had seen. Tommy's mangled dead body was hanging from the pecan tree just above the car, and nailed to the center of his chest was a "No Trespassing" sign. This Hope you enjoyed this story. This is Common Gamer signing off. There may be more freaky Halloween stories like this in the future. Please enjoy this video.